Hey everybody, Old Buck Dave back again with you know who, Old Buck.
Dell.
That would
Oh,
be
Buck
you, yeah.
Dell.
That'd be
Yeah,
you, yeah. Episode 172. How's your world over there?
that makes us the two old bucks.
That we
So,
are the two old bucks. Yes, we are. Yeah.
well, it's good hooking up with you again. I, I of course am still on my remodeling mission, and
You haven't
uh,
killed yourself yet.
no, but you know, we in our age or anybody, I guess it gets to be this old. We try our level best not to hurt ourselves, right?
We do. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you think you're cautious about things that you do. I mean, you don't do foolish things on the bike or something. So I even hold a rail going down the steps. I don't I don't even trust my balance going down. If it's got a
Uh-huh.
rail, I hold on to it. I've been pretty cautious about that, and so far so good. But
Yeah.
eventually,
It's gonna happen.
there's a little relapse in your thinking, and
Yeah.
and then you look back and say, "Oh my, that was a dumb thing to do." Well, I'll just tell you, uh, I'll make a short story long, but
Oh no. Well,
eh,
we'll be
I was
calling the editors in for that.
I was putting in a new light socket, just a plug socket
Got it.
with the
Got
three
it.
holes. Okay, you know what it is. So this was a pretty straightforward, easy one, nothing complicated about it. And I decided I would do it with the power on.
Oh, of course.
Of
If
course, I
if you're
mean,
going to do electrical work, absolutely leave the power on. That makes total sense.
well, this is just a one time.
Okay,
So
you're lucky you got to be an old buck. I'll tell you.
I'm telling you. So I'm, I start to taking this thing apart, and I'm very, very, very careful when I know I have the wire that's live and everything. I'm moving it around, but I have a pair of pliers that it's a flat pair that allows me to twist wires together. So I was about to twist some wires together, and the insulation on the pliers, there's like a rubber handle that fits
Yeah,
over them. Okay.
a
For anybody
split.
who doesn't, yeah, they usually keep them. Some pliers don't have them, cheap ones do, but the ones that are insulated, you can grab a hot wire with it and you won't get shocked. So the insulation on my pliers, one side slips off.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
I'm
let
thinking,
me
yeah,
guess what's going to happen here.
no, it's not what you think. This is even more foolish. I said, I could get shocked doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So I turned the power off. So I said, I need to fix this handle, this insulation on this pair of pliers so I can use it. It'll be safe. So I climbs down off the ladder and all this stuff. And I goes to my drawer and I pull off the insulation. It's all comes off like a glove. And I get some super glue and I'm trying to squeeze the super glue into this sleeve. And I said, oh, this super glue is old. So I'm just squeezing this bottle like crazy. I said, I guess there's nothing in it. Well, maybe a drop or two went in it might work.
Well,
Well,
you did warn me you were going to make a short story long here. So,
yeah. So anyhow, well, that's why I decided to do this. I wanted to make the pliers safe because otherwise I could have got choked.
right.
So I put
Okay.
I dump all this super glue. Unbeknownst to me, this super glue was actually full, and I poured a whole bunch of it into this sleeve. Now, you can see where this is going. This. I thought of you immediately.
No, you
So I
thought of me.
filled this little sleeve up, not knowing with super glue, and I said, well, there's got to be enough in there, maybe it'll work. So I slip it on, I push it on, and it just gushes super glue out all over the place, all over my hands, all over the pliers. So immediately my fingers are glued together, and then I tried to pull them apart and glue my hands together, and then I'm got like both hands glued to the pliers.
Oh gosh.
And
Well,
I'm trying to pull it apart and keep my fingers open and everything. Well, long story short, I managed to keep my fingers open enough for that to dry, and there's still super glue all over my hands. The pliers were glued together. I finally pried them apart, and
But you did not get bounced
I
on
got
your butt from.
no, I didn't get shocked, but I
Okay.
did end up with a pair
All
of
right.
pliers with the proper insulation on it. But it was like I never thought about that. I didn't think that that would happen.
Hmm.
That I would end up with super. I'm talking a lot of super glue, and that and that's the story. And
You're
that's the story
sticking
of
with it.
my. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's one of those things where now I know
Now you know.
that I. Hopefully, that's the worst that happens. Everything else, I'll be as cautious as possible because when it
Yeah.
happens,
It
something's going to
happens.
happen.
Something's going to happen.
Somebody that I know would try to kick over a red ant hill mound with a
Go
pair of
ahead.
open
Go
toed
ahead.
shoes on.
Bring up the old fire ants again. Yeah. Hey, you think you got a
Anyhow, that's my
story?
story.
Let me tell you my story. As you know, I got a new water heater. We got a new water heater like within a week of each other, I guess.
Hmm.
Now I'm tasked with getting rid of the old water heater, and I don't know about over your way, but here in Manatee, they will not take it. The trash man will not take those anymore.
No, they won't pick them up.
They won't pick them up. But fortunately, my neighbor stopped in and he said, "Well," he said, "there's a scrap yard down the road, just 2-3 miles down the road, and they will take it." And he said they'll probably give you a couple bucks for it too. So all right, perfect. So he helped me load it in the back of the car to the scrap yard, and I go up to the drive up the way ramp, and there's a little office there.
Hmm.
And of course, the guy comes out, and I just started chatting with him. And I said, "Boy, this is like the nicest scrap yard I've ever seen. It's so clean." And I really, in my job, I've been to a lot of scrap yards in the past, so I've seen them. And this was real neat. And he says, "Well, that's I was a career military guy, and law and order, and keep everything straight and clean, and it works." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. It's a good idea. Perfect." And he says, what do you got?" I said, "Well, I got a water heater." Okay. And so he says, I gotta ask you some questions. He said, "First, I need your driver's license." Okay.
Hmm.
So I give him my driver's license, and he takes a picture of the driver's license, puts it in his computer, goes around back, takes a picture of the license plate on the car. All right. Like, man, oh man, it's only a water heater. And he says,
A hot
a hot
water
water
heater.
heater, yeah. And he said, he asked me a couple more questions, and then he said, "How much do you weigh?"
Huh.
I said, "What? How much do I weigh? Like I'm going to jump out of the car and weigh or something?" I said, "It's nice. One of the questions I got to ask you." I said, "Okay, I weighed 180 pounds." Okay. And then he said, and I'm not making this up. He said, "Do you have any tattoos?"
Huh. Well, clearly, this is a
And, and I
stolen
said,
water heater.
and I just broke up. I said, "Okay, you're messing with me now. You're playing games with me." He
This
says,
is true.
"No."
This is
He
true
says, "It's right
story,
here
isn't
on the
it?
form.
Yeah,
It's right here on
yeah.
the form. I got to ask you this question." I said, "Why in the world at a scrapyard would anybody care about how many tattoos I had?" He said, "Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you about the local government." He said they reorganized, and under the same department, they put scrap yards and tattoo parlors because it makes so much sense to put them together. He said, so, you know,
Hey, you can't make this stuff
you
up, Dave.
can't make it up. So I said, "Okay." So I go and dump my water heater, and I drive up the other ramp, and there's another woman at that end. And I stop, and she weighs it, and she said, "Well, I got to see your driver's license." I said, "Well, the guy already saw my driver's license." She says, "Yeah, I know. I got to see it again." And she pulls it up on the screen, the picture he took, and like, "Oh, yeah, okay, yep, you're the same guy. You're the same guy." And and she says, "Okay, you got to get out of the car now." And she said, "I'm going to take your thumbprint." So they take an electronic thumbprint. This is for a water heater now. And then she says, "Okay, stand over here, stand on the square." And she takes my picture. Like, man, oh man, I better get a lot of money for this water heater. Jesus. six
It's
dollars
still
and forty
it's
cents,
I was
six
gonna say
forty, buddy.
it's still in your car all this time.
Oh yeah, no, it's gone now. So they weighed the car before and after with me, the
Oh,
180
okay.
pound driver,
Okay.
with no tattoos. So I just couldn't believe that story. It's a true story. It's true.
There's so much, I think there was so much stolen copper, and you just can't log stuff like that off anymore without, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they want traceability. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
with I mean they steal
Hmm.
those converters and
Hmm.
oh my soul.
Yeah.
So I haven't
But
done that in a long time, so I can imagine it's changed. It's funny. Anyhow, you were successful in getting it off, but what a typical old buck experience.
the
Something
old
we
bug
never,
experience. Yeah,
yeah, something
yeah,
you think you've seen it all, then you run into
yeah,
something new.
yeah.
So,
Here's another. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this story in the paper. Uh, in areas in Tampa, they're hearing drumming sounds in their people's houses who live near the water. Did you hear
oh,
that?
the ones that live near the water. I think I've heard that story before.
Yeah, okay. So it's, the people are, they're getting everything inspected in their houses. Like, okay, nothing's going on. We still hear this boom, 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 boom. So they've finally figured it out. It's drumfish. They have drumfish in there, and they're mating. This is
Hmm.
drumfish mating. So
It's
I,
it's a fish sound.
it's a
Somehow this fish is making a noise to attract a mate, and it resonates through the ground or up the pipes or whatever,
Yeah.
and they
Yep.
can hear it in the houses.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And I am going to put a link to that so people can can be voyeurs listening to drumfish mating. So
Well, you did not make that one up either. That's a true. I
I
know
did
that's a
not
true
make that
story.
up. I'll
Yeah.
put a link in the show notes to that. Yeah.
So anybody who picks us up overseas or something, we both reside in the state of Florida in the United States of America. And some of these stories you just can't make them up.
Yeah, I got one more story, one more news story to tell you.
All right.
And then we're going to go on to the real reason that we're here tonight.
Okay.
Uh, this is from Morning Brew. That's one of the news feeds that I get in the morning. This is for people who want to feed their ex to a zoo animal, but don't want to wind up in a Netflix documentary. Okay, now you have a way to do that. So ahead of Valentine's Day, the San Antonio Zoo is bringing back its fundraiser that allows you to name a cockroach, rat, or vegetable after your ex that'll then be fed to its animals in exchange for a donation. What do you think?
That is bizarre.
Since the zoo started this tradition in 2020, it's raised more than $225,000 in donations. So it's all for a good cause.
So you name a mouse or something, then you feed it to
Yeah, name.
one of the boa
Yeah,
constrictors or
yeah,
something, and say,
yeah,
there you go.
yeah.
Oh my!
Get some pleasure there. Whatever. Yeah,
Only in America.
only in America. But hey, the real reason we're here tonight is we have a special guest with us. And this is a fellow that I've known for 40, what did we decide, 47 years or 47 years. So he's my buddy Mike.
Mike didn't go to school with us, did he?
Mike did not go to school with us, but I met Mike, about 3 or 4 or 5 houses ago. We lived in the same township, and
Oh,
we met in a bowling league, actually, right? Right. So anyway, I want to introduce Mike. Say how's the world treating you, Mike?
Good. Glad to be in Florida and on a podcast. First time for this.
Well, tell us why you're here, Florida, Mike. Yeah. Tell us why you're here, Florida.
tell
You're
us
here to
why
see,
you're here
he's here to
in
see me
Florida,
because he likes me
Mike.
so much. That may or may not be the reason. What's the real reason?
Real reason I come down every year with a Pirate alumni, and we play golf for 3 or 4 days, and this is about the 30 some odd years where we've been coming down. So it's fun because I get to play golf with some guys that I grew up watching years ago. I get to play golf with Bill Mazeroski, Bill Verdon, Steve Blass still comes down. It's a good time. It's just you hear a lot of good, funny stories. A lot of these guys could be stand-up comedians. It's just good. just a lot of fun. And we've been doing it a lot of years. First 10 years we were Myrtle Beach, then we were in Orlando for 10. And I think we've been down here probably 11 or 12 years.
So this
So-
is, so you're not actually meeting with, although you'll see some pirates, but this is actually a get together with old pirates. So
Right.
you guys can play a lot of cards and drink.
Well, yeah, there is some of that. More, there is some drinking and card playing, but it's the group was started years ago with pirate alumni broke away from the Major League Players Alumni Association because they felt they're charitable organizations and they felt that the MLB association was spending money inappropriately, and so they started their own. And fortunately, I came down the first time before they. I came down on a golf trip with Bob Perkey, who pitched for the Reds and the Pirates and was from Pittsburgh, and they were looking for a place to have an annual meeting. So the next year we came down with Perky and Bobby Del Greco and Bill Mazeroski and a couple other, older guys, Nellie Browse, and they started coming down. And one of the funny stories was the first year the condo association decided that they would pay for the hospitality suite. Well, they did that one year, then they were done. These boys can drink, but anyway, it's just we hear a lot of stories. It's just fun seeing your old baseball heroes playing. So,
Okay, Mike, my question to you is this. You've been doing this with some old pirate baseball players, some of which are quite famous, and I remember them as a boy myself.
yep.
But how did you originally become associated with the Pirates? I mean,
Okay.
what how did you do it the first time? I mean, I would love to have met those guys, but in around those days, it would be by chance.
Sure.
So
No,
how
what
did it start?
It started, I was in the insurance business, and the guy that I was doing work with, Bob Holland, his father-in-law was Bob Perky, who was a pirate and a Red. And he said, look, we're going to Myrtle Beach. We need an extra guy. Do you want to come? So I went down and met Perky, and we became friends. And then, funny enough, a couple of years later, then when the pirates started coming down, his son-in-law didn't come anymore, and I was the one that was there. But the players would invite other, friends and things like that to come down. So I think we've had some years like 60 guys. So and sometimes there's 11 alumni, sometimes there's 10. This year's I think there's only 5 or 6, but it's a much smaller group. But yeah, it was fun being like I preceded the pirate alumni trick basically. So it was cool.
So, Mike, now you have told me a lot of stories over the years of some of the stories that these guys can tell. And this is all, this is all above board stuff here.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you could share a couple of the favorite stories that you had, because they just had me laughing, particularly some of the ones with Blass and a couple of these guys. Could you spin a couple yarns for us?
I guess. Can I swear too? No, never, no, never mind. One of the best ones I was telling Dave this a little while ago was they were talking about there was a player years ago when we were kids, Dick Stewart. Dick Stewart was like he liked to get dressed up, and he was sort of a fancy guy. And the clubhouse in Forbes Field had wooden floor, and he would have a habit of sliding off of like a high chair into his very expensive loafers and then walk out of the room. Well, Don Hoke, who was the third baseman, thought it would be funny to nail those shoes to the wooden floor. So when Stewart slid down and he fell flat on his face and was almost in tears, like, you guys, what did you do to me? And so then Hoke gave them like they were worth $100 or something back then, probably in the early 60s, late 50s. So that's one story that sort of sticks in my head. There's a whole bunch. I'll think about 10 of them after we're done. Yeah, that's right. After we're done. But right now I can't think of a whole lot of things.
So what about you have mentioned that Steve Blass has quite a sense of humor, though. Can you tell us a little bit about Steve? His
He's just one of those guys that is so quick. Like right now, they're having a meeting that I'm supposed to be at that I'm not going to be at. So
Cut the meeting for the podcast.
I cut the meeting for the podcast and for a great dinner that Val made. He's just one of those guys that is so quick-witted. You know, you say something and he has a comeback immediately, and he's a great guy. He's a fun to be with. Good golfer, just a good dude.
So, and you've got to hit like 4 or 5 days with him here. Is that right? Hanging out.
It'll be 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It used to be Monday too, but we've cut back a little bit.
I remember you telling me back in the old days, like the card games went on all night. Is that still happening?
I don't know. I don't stay up for those. I'm not a card player, so I never played cards. But they're not all night, but they're pretty late. You know, Blast is always involved with that. But yeah, when we first started doing this, we'd get up and play at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then a bunch of guys would go back out and play. Now like tomorrow we play at 11:20. So as the group has gotten older, it's gotten a little different. But there's still a lot of card playing and drinking. So.
Yeah, again, Mike and I have, as I said, we met back and we lived in Elizabeth Township. That's 1,000 years ago, or at least 47 years ago. And yeah, met him in a couples bowling league. We were kind of doing everything we could to get to know the neighbors and the folks, and we hit it off. And I've been, been hanging out ever since. I've known him not as long as I've known you, but he's been around for a long time, and we've both had our bumps in the road here, but we're both still kicking.
So Dave, the question I was going to ask was, you obviously get to hang out with enough or some of the guys that were on that the 1960 team.
Yeah.
Now that particular day, I mean, that was something that lives in infamy in my mind when that happened, when Mazeroski hit that walk-off home run, I think, wasn't it?
Yep.
Does that always come up? That do they always touch on that?
No, they actually kid Mazeroski. They'll say, "Listen, you hit one home run in your whole career. You know what's the big deal?" So there's a lot of jagging and stuff. Well, that reminds me of another story. The first year I was down there with Maz, there was a seafood buffet, and we eat and we're done. And I go back and I get a piece of carrot cake, and he goes, "Hey," I didn't finish it. He said, "Hey, you done with that cake?" I said, "Sure." So he said, "Give it to me." So he ate the rest of my carrot cake. So I thought, he's the only Hall of Fame guy that's ever eaten a piece of my carrot cake. So yeah, it was funny, Anyway,
that's got to be a unique experience, don't you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, how many times have you ever had shared carrot cake with a Hall of Fame baseball player? Come on, it's a trivia question. Well, I didn't say what he preceded that with an adjective that I'm not real comfortable saying. So
yeah.
That doggone carrot.
That's right. You get done on that doggone cake.
But that's an interesting set of circumstances that at this stage of my life, I'm meeting someone that actually shared carrot cake with with the hero that hit the home run. And of course, he wasn't a big home run hitter, but he hit one when he needed it. And then there you go. You go down in history.
I guess. No, it's fun.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's Mike, this is a podcast about friendship, and I'm telling you what's the truth. You're blessed to have a friend like Dave, as am I. And here we are celebrating, these kind of times. That's what we wish for everybody who listens to us, that they have somebody like that. So what an interesting experience. What do you think, Dave?
All right. Hey, thanks very much, Mike. That was terrific. It's fun getting together with you again, and it's always fun to hear some stories. And I'm sure as the evening goes on, you'll recollect more and more of those stories. So, what do you think, Mr. Dale?
Well, I think Florida's a good place to be. I'm going to be playing a little bit of golf myself in in what you call a community throw together, anybody can play kind of a tournament. You
All
know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Some would-be golfers and some golfers and that kind of thing. So it'll be a lot of fun.
You didn't invite me this year.
No, I know you cannot play golf.
Cannot
Mike
play
can
golf.
Mike can attest to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's really cool. It's cool to have somebody that to know somebody that did that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It's wonderful.
So,
Yeah, and Steve Blass used to be sort of a neighbor of mine. We both lived in Mount Washington for, we were there for 10 years. I'm not sure. Is he still in? Does he still have a place in Mount Washington, up in the tower there? Okay, but yeah, we'd see him on the street walking across the street every once in a while, say hi, and run into him here and there. Nice guy.
that was kind of different times too, don't you think? They were more like regular people,
Yeah, yeah.
not just stars or
not a prima donna at all. Yeah, these were just regular guys, I think. Yeah.
yeah. Well, those were the days.
So speaking of regular guys, I think it's time for the regular guys to drift off into the sunset here. What do you think?
Well, I thank you for coming up with Mike as a surprise guest. A really interesting fellow. I wish you guys have a
Absolutely.
great time together, and he enjoys his golfing. And always good talking to you. So this is old Buck Dell saying, if you're a listener, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right, and this is Old Buck Dave right behind you again, thanking Mike for being here, and we're looking forward to doing all this again with everybody. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.